Hi, hello. Uh, Hello, this is the My Artify episode number 3880 82, probably, or 83. Today's date is 12th of February 2026. It's been almost like a morning at 10:26 a.m. Alright, it's really beautiful morning. Yeah. Okay, let's just jump into the question. Alright, let's go. Okay, by the way, I wrote this question in this book. I'm reading this book, by the way. Really good book. I suggest you to read this book. Okay, regarding about reading the book. Okay, yeah, I there is a kind of like a very extraordinary fact that I found about reading the book. Okay, yeah. I kind of like somebody real. I kind of like found that why does people not reading the book, and I realized this thing by asking this question to myself. Okay, yeah. So before I kind of like give any kind of like some answer why does people not want to read book, I will kind of like give the kind of like something like the example so that you might understand. Okay, yeah. Okay, so basically it's this thing. Let's just say that let's just say you are a kind of like a construction worker. Okay, yeah. And you are earning, let's just say, like a 300 to maybe 500 rupees per day. I'm actually talking about as an Indian construction worker. Okay, yeah. So if a Indian construction worker who is a kind of like earning 500 rupees per day, okay, yeah, he does not have a salary. Okay, he earn money by day pay. Okay, yeah. So basically this thing that ki 500 rupees is not too much, but it's not too less too. It's a okay. Okay. He is not really that rich. He's just a kind of like a very normal kind of like a local guy, and who is a kind of like a somebody work in construction things and that, and he earn almost like a 500 rupees per day. Okay. And if I tell him that ki you can invest kind of like a somebody, let's just say couple of rupees, like a basically is this thing that ki if you are kind of like a earning 500 rupees per day, so in the end of the month, so let's just say almost like a let's just say end of the month means like 30 days. Okay, yeah. So in the 30 days how much money that he should supposed to be on? 30 into 5 past 3 15, that means 15,000 rupees. Okay, that means he is earning 15,000 rupees per month. Okay, yeah. Now 15,000 rupees is too much or too less? It's not too much, but it's not too less too. Okay, yeah. In Indian point of perspective, 15,000 rupees is somewhat something had enough to survive for two people, not more than two people. Okay, if he and his wife is like he can able to be kind of like a survive, he and his wife, with very kind of like a, if that particular person is kind of like a living in kind of like a local city and things like that. Obviously if he kind of like a living in Bombay city or kind of like a bigger city, then obviously pay grade would be higher, like a let's say 700 rupees or 800 rupees probably. But let's just say kind of like he's the guy who's living in local city, earning let's just say 15,000 rupees per month. Okay, 500 rupees per day. Okay, yeah. He is not educated. He is not educated. He done education probably till the end, till the ninth or 10th standard. Okay, that's it. He can able to read and he can able to be write. Okay, yeah, that is the most thing he could do. That's it. He can't do more than that. Okay, yeah. He's just a normal local guy. Okay, and if I kind of like say this thing that ki can you started investing money? Now ask this question to yourself: will that particular person can convince enough to started investing money? Well, this is kind of like question is kind of like a very very bit tricky. Why is that? Is because of that key. Is because of that key. First of all, I just have to tell him tell him what is actually investing and things like that. Like basically is this thing that key, if you invest 500 rupees from the beginning, then after 20 year you might get like a 2%, like a basically like a double the money and things and that. Okay, yeah. With conviction and things I said this thing, but after I tried to put the all the effort and things like that, he might not invest money. Let's just take a kind of like example. Okay, so like this, there are almost like a 10 people are actually which is exactly like this, like all those 10 people who are earning 500 rupees per day, that means 15,000 rupees per month, and those are 10 people who have their kind of like a simply family and things and that and that. Okay, all those 10 people are not really that rich, not really that poor, kind of like a somewhat something surviving and things like that. Okay, now basically is this thing that ki, if I kind of like a if I kind of like say this thing that ki, would you kind of like started investing, 10 out of maybe none of the person will kind of like starting investing money. No one, probably maybe one, but very less. Probably he will gonna say I will not gonna invest 500 rupees, I will gonna invest maybe like he none, like probably not. No, what is actually reason? Like did I not convince them with conventional, like is my, like am I not kind of like somebody like a tell them very much properly? I tell them very properly, like if I'm gonna say a kind of like a particular person who is a kind of like somebody very high, really good at kind of like somebody convincing people, he cannot able to convincing those 10 people to invest 500 rupees on kind of like a somebody SIP or things like that. Now why is that? What exactly is this my fault? No, it's not my fault. It's because of the people and what is actually their surrounding. Okay, because of that, let me give you context. Okay, people who are earning 500 rupees per day, that means like a 15,000 rupees per month, probably those people are very much curious about where they should supposedly spend the money. Obviously they spend money on such thing that is really essential for them, like basically food and kind of like simply the travel to go to work and things like that. Probably they might have kind of like simply one room house, probably that's it, not more than that. Okay, they are barely kind of like a surviving and things like that. Obviously 500 rupees is not really too much to invest money per month, but still that 500 rupees is kind of like a far more bigger for them. Okay, and they might not invest that much amount of money. Reason number one. Okay, reason number two, I'm belong to the India, and basically is this thing in here, there are so many scamster. If someone kind of like a come to me and started saying these things, sir, you are invest this much amount of money on this startup, then you will kind of like earn this much amount of money, even I am not going to convince. Why is that? Because in India there is so much scamster and things like that. If someone upfrontly come to you and kind of like say this thing that ki invest on this, invest on that, you like I am not really sure about you, but I will not gonna invest. Because of that, when I try to invest any kind of like only, I will gonna legit do research, do figure it out, do everything, and then I will kind of like invest. I will not gonna invest kind of like some random guy kind of like came to me and invest this much amount of money. I would not gonna do this thing. Okay, yeah. And obviously the people who are earning very less amount of money, they will also not gonna convince enough, because when the random person kind of like say this thing that invest this much amount of money, our kind of like our all those kind of like something, I don't know, but I'm belong to the India and Indian point of perspective, they kind of like think that no, it might be a scam and things like that, so do not do this thing. So yeah, second reason. Okay, these are the second reason. Third reason. Okay, yeah. Third reason why that particular person might not invest that much amount of money is because of that, this is the first time he might gonna hearing this thing, investing about money. Okay, why he didn't really heard is because of he is from such a surrounding that he barely educated, and basically it's just saying investing is a kind of like a funda that probably kind of like somebody, most of the people does it in kind of like a metro city, or maybe kind of like some people who are kind of like somebody know about the stocks and SIPs and things, and that for those people, a kind of like a people who are kind of like earning very bare minimum amount of money, how they will know about that particular stuff? Like what kind of like a influence does it get? Like basically is this thing na ki, let me give you context. For if I wanted to invest any kind of like a things, probably all the social media and things are kind of like a somebody guided towards me that ki, this is the app kind of like a somebody invest you and this and that and that and that, and these are kind of like a somebody algorithm based advertisement. It comes from the kind of like a that ki I kind of like a search about somewhere in my life, I might be search about which stock or which kind of like a SIP would be better and things and that, Because of I search, social media get the information about me. Okay, this particular person wanted to invest money, so that's why social media is kind of like a giving me that particular kind of like a something, the information that this stock, this application, this and that and that and that. So because of this advertisement, I am kind of like aware of that kind of like a things that ki, okay, a kind of like a somebody SIP or social or SIP or kind of like a somebody the stock markets are things that actually exist too in India too. Okay, yeah. So I was aware of that, but it all started big. It all started from the beginning of when I started searching about this thing. Okay, yeah. Now how I started search is because of that some kind of like a random person, or not random person, kind of like a one of my friend would kind of like a give me suggestion that he invest this much amount of money or that and that and that. Because of I'm kind of like a bit more educated, I am kind of like a somebody consume such a information, or I am associate from the such a surrounding people who are kind of like a known about these things, investing and that and that and that. That's why these kind of like a something things are actually stuck inside of my head, and that's why I'm kind of like started deciding that I should supposed to be invest money. So that's why I searched about YouTube that I wanted to kind of like invest money and things like that and that and that. And then social media get the information, and they will kind of like assembly show me all the advertisement and things and that and that. Because of this thing, I'm get really influenced, and then I started investing money on kind of like some stocks or SIP or things like that. Okay, but about those people, will they able to get this information that investing is a kind of like a thing? Let me tell you one thing, their environment is not the environment that we are like I am supposed to be. Like my environment is around with the such a people and things and that because I'm bitterly educated, like a people around me, things like that. The people who are barely earning very less amount of money, okay, yeah, and obviously is this thing that key they don't really have that much surrounding to kind of like a tell them what is at least this thing that this investing is a kind of like a exist and enough and things like that. They don't really have this information, okay, yeah. Also they are not belong to the metro city and things and that. So obviously the surrounding is not exist enough, and that's why if those particular person's surrounding is not exist enough, and obviously he didn't really read the book, because of that he doesn't really have any kind of like some things, okay, yeah. So that particular person, why would that particular person go to the internet and search about investing and things like that? Obviously not. If he not search about that investing and things like that, why would kind of like a social media kind of like somebody giving them this information and that information, that this app and that app? Because social media kind of like a giving them such a thing that like a social media kind of like a somebody advertisement is kind of like a work according to the character, like a work according, like if I am kind of like a filmmaker, then social media companies are kind of like a recommend me such a companies like a Canon, Nikon camera lens and things like that, because I am associated with that particular thing, okay, yeah. But obviously is this thing, a social media need a kind of like information about you, like basically what he was kind of like a searching. And if that particular person not actually searching about what kind of like a stocks and SIP he should supposed to be invest, how will social media kind of like have the information? And will social media not have the information, how they will kind of like showcase the advertisement and things like that? But still, okay, yeah, there are paid advertisement are actually available to kind of like a showcase to the people. So obviously those people will kind of like a search about that, okay. But obviously they will not gonna convince enough, because this thing is still is a foreign concept for them. Yeah, legitly foreign concept for them. I don't know how do I supposed to explain this thing. It's a kind of like a things that na ki when we have information about things again, we influence. We does not take the decision at first step. Obviously, we will not gonna take the decision at the 10th step, but we got influenced by this thing. Okay, the stable money is an application where you could supposed to be invest money and things like that. Now this information is inside our head, okay, yeah, and I already knew that what is actually benefit of investing money and things like that. So because of all those information are combined together, it kind of like a decide me that I should supposed to be invest money from like at least like a 500 rupees, and then I started investing money, okay, yeah. The poor person, that particular person who earn 500 rupees per day, obviously he would not have that repetition of this thing. Obviously kind of like a social media might be kind of like a give the kind of like a somebody things that okay, this is the application that you could invest money. He would gonna see and might be see, okay, yeah, let's just skip it, and he skip this thing, and he skip, and social media realize that okay, he is not that investor guy. So social media might not show this advertisement, Okay, so the repetition actually happened to me, it does not happen to that particular person. Okay, yeah, but another advertisement will gonna happen, another advertisement like Astro Talk or kind of like a things and that and that and that. Okay, yeah, they have kind of like a particular catalog about the advertisement. If the particular person is not educated and things like that, then probably kind of like a showcase this advertise that probably people might gonna kind of like a things and that. Another thing, okay, yeah, the investing advertisement are made in a such a way that normal people or local people of India might not understand, because most of the kind of like something the advertisement are in English language. Okay, yeah, and also all the terms that they mention like basically term life insurance or kind of like somebody the SIP or kind of like somebody the high growth and things, these are kind of like terms people are normal people might not understand this thing. What exactly is this thing? They think that it's a foreign concept, and when they think as a foreign concept, they just might not invest and things like that. Okay, yeah. So what is actually the reason for they are not investing money is because of the influence. Influence is a very much essential to understand that a kind of like it creates a trigger. It creates a trigger. Let me give you are the average of your surrounding. Okay, you are the average of your surrounding. Surrounding means what? Okay, yeah. Surrounding means not a surrounding means actual surrounding. A surrounding means what kind of like a information that you cater. Okay, yeah. If this kind of like a say this thing almost like a 20 year ago, I might gonna say surrounding means actual surrounding, but in today's world surrounding means what kind of like information that I consume more. Okay, yeah, like basically is this thing, I am surrounded with the people around me. Okay, yeah, which are kind of like a something very like a local or things and that, but I consume information of very high quality information. I kind of like get the information regarding about the information value added books and things and that, so it developed my mindset to much more better and things like that. So my surrounding situation is not the people in my surrounding. My surrounding situation is the information that I'm consuming, okay, from social media and things and that. And I train my social media in such a way that I consume value added information, not a kind of like a crap. But most of the people consume information crap, like a dancing videos or things and that is not wrong. Okay, that is not wrong. It is also really essential. Entertainment values really matter. Okay, yeah, but when you are consuming only that thing, then probably you might not realize that how much important is investing, or how much important is the term life, or how much important is this thing. So they just don't really care about that all. So when they don't really care about at all, they not really search about this thing. When they will not gonna search about this thing, the apps and things might not suggest, and they will not gonna invest money at all. And I'm talking about 90% of the people. 90% of the people. Okay, yeah. So they will not gonna invest amount of money. These are the three reasons that people might not invest the money. Okay, yeah. But what is exactly associated with the book? Okay, what is actually associated with the book? Like I asked this question na, ki why does so many people not reading the book? I talk about the investment, but why not is about book? Now book is a exactly kind of like that. Okay, yeah. I grew up in such a surrounding where books are not considered to be read, or not considered to be consumed, or not considered to be like exist. Like probably till the 12th standard, I might not see the books are actually exist, so that you should supposed to be read and things like that. Is because of my influence or surrounding are kind of like in such a way that I shouldn't supposed to be read a book, or maybe like I have textbooks, then I just have to read that book and things like that. So I never really got influence about the book and things and that. But when I kind of like somebody surrounded with such a people, not people, kind of like somebody social media and things, I kind of like train my social media to kind of like add value and things and me. And all those people, all the video that I watched, they kind of like tell me one thing, that you should supposed to be read a book. You should supposed to be read a book. And in 2026, I decided that okay, let's start to read a book. At the age of 32, I started reading book. How late I was, and I am the only one who bit educated. I am the only one kind of like somebody understand what is actually right or wrong. I am the only one who consume the information or consume the internet since 2011. So basically it took me that much amount of time to implement on read the book. So can you believe that a particular person who is earning 500 rupees per month or 500 rupees per day, will that particular person convince him to read a book? Obviously he will not. Why? Because there is no influence at all. There is nothing really at all. Who would kind of like tell him to read the book? And the person who kind of like telling the read the book, I will gonna say this thing, okay, yeah, I was supposed to be read the book, and yeah, but it's not a kind of like a thing that it's a kind of like a drive comes from you, not from externally. If that drive comes from externally, you might not take that information. So many people says read a book. Since I was childhood, so many people say the read the book. I haven't really read the book, nothing really at all, because no one tell me why do I supposed to read the book. And as also is this thing, for most of the time I just kind of like reading the textbooks, and that doesn't mean anything at all. It doesn't add any kind of like a values and things and that. No one tells me that thing. Okay, yeah, but when I consuming the information, when I train my social media to such a way that I kind of like get the value added things and that, and when I decided to let's just invest money on started reading a book, I realized too late in my life. Too late. Like people started reading a book and changed their life as early as they're possible. And I started this journey at the age of 32. I know I am very, very late regarding about changing my personality and things and that. But I try. And at the age of 32, I started reading book. There are so many people I seen in my life are not reading the book, and they are far older than me, far more bigger than me. I don't know how to I supposed to explain. I didn't really found any person in my life who is reading a book, legitimately reading a book. There is only one person, Shrutika. She read the book. She read the fiction book, by the way. But rest of no one, I didn't really seen any kind of like a people who read the book. Like legitimately no one. I'm talking about in 2026. Belong to the India, and all the people I'm kind of like a people around you or hanging around you. Those are civilized people. Those are highly educated people, like a graduated degree with have their jobs and earning money with their families and things and that. Okay, yeah. And most of people thinks that ki reading a book is that ki I didn't have time and things and that. They have kind of like only multiple reasons and things like that. But still, I think that ki these are kind of like a simply reason that why does people not reading a book. How do I change that thing? How, like basically like these are the kind of like books are added value in my life. Obviously everyone, okay, yeah, everyone feels that thing, and I want that ki my community should supposed to be read the book. But how do I convince them? I cannot. If you try to convince them, they would repel even more faster. Like basically I'm gonna tell you the analogy. My mother is a very religious person, and she do praying, she do kind of like a paritran part, and she do all those things and that. Okay, yeah, I am not that particular person. And even if that religious thing is so good, but I will not gonna sit in front of any kind of like a random statue and kind of like a pray for things and that. For some people it might matter to them, but for me it's not matter to me na. So why would I supposed to be kind of like a somebody sit in front of the statue and kind of like a somebody doing the pray and things like that. Okay, yeah. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is this thing. If I want to do anything, that admiration comes from inside, not from outside. When it comes from the outside, I repel or anyone can repel. But inside admiration or inside like a basically, okay, I want to read the book, then we will start reading a book. Admiration come from the inside, then we'll started reading a book or kind of like started investing money or doing something really good stuff. Okay, yeah. So another question is that ki how do I supposed to do this thing? How do I supposed to people should supposed to start reading the book? I don't know, but I can't change the people. Even if I'm trying to say this thing, even if this here and some people kind of like started listening and kind of like reading and things and that and listening video, they might not gonna read. Obviously, if you are kind of like watching this thing, probably you are might be a selected person who kind of like reading a book, but very less people who are reading a book that is exist are here today. Okay, yeah. But how do I supposed to convince them? The answer is that I shouldn't supposed to be convince them. Okay, yeah. I don't want to change hundreds of people. If I could, okay. I am lucky enough to be, I could kind of like change hundreds of people to read the book and things like that. I want that my kids should supposed to be read a book. Okay, yeah. Like whenever I will have my kids, they will supposed to be read the book. But how? Like if I tell them read the book, will they able to be? No, they will not. Obviously, yeah. External factor reply. So, so basically, this thing, what I will gonna do is that, every morning we do breakfast, and in the breakfast table, I will set the alarm and I will started reading my book. Okay, yeah. Obviously, my kids will gonna see me. I'm reading. They will see me. My father is kind of like reading a book. I'm not telling them to read the book. I'm kind of like influence them. Okay, my father reads a book and things like that. So they might have kind of like some certain chance that they might read something. Okay, not too much, but something. Like basically, try not to tell them, show them, or indirectly. Okay, yeah. Then they might start reading a book, and I want that my kids should supposed to read a book, but obviously that is a way far ahead and things like that. And obviously I also realize that I cannot able to convince people to do something right thing for them. Same thing happened with the artifact too. Like basically, if I kind of like make the application, can I able to convince people to record artifact? Obviously not. Okay, if I try to convince them, they will not gonna convince that enough. Okay, yeah, because it take effort, na. Like basically right now I can able to be read kind of like a 10-20 pages of this book because I love the book, I wanted to read the book and things like that. The person who didn't really started reading a book, he might not read only one page. Why is that? Is because of he doesn't want to. There is always resistance comes inside in his head that he just don't want to read the book. Okay, yeah. And because of his brain is a kind of like a things wired in a such a way that he might not gonna read the book. Okay, so and he might not take the information. Obviously, is this thing you will not gonna get the value. Like if you just read a one page, obviously it will not. You have to read a kind of like an entire book to kind of like get the entire information regarding about books and things and that and that. So basically the question is actually arise that how do I supposed to convince people to record artifact? I cannot convince. Okay, I might gonna say it will gonna add value when you record the artifact and things and that, but people might not convince, and that is true. So how do I supposed to do this thing? Time. Yeah. Time is a very essential thing. People are not reading a book 50 years ago, but there are so many people are reading a book. Obviously very less, but so many people as compared to the 50 years ago. It actually happened because of the time. Okay, time is really essential. Changes does not happen instantly. It takes time. So even after I make artifact, even after I convince, even if I tell them that record artifact and things and that, people might not record artifact. That is true. So basically I should supposed to be patient and be aware of that people might not record the artifact. So let's just take tiny steps. Okay, yeah. Give them reason to listen at least artifact, not record, listen. Some people might record artifact, some people. Okay, yeah. Not 100 out of like so many, but might be 2 people. Okay, let's just say 2 people might gonna record. If I convince 2 people, they just record, and 10 people just listen. Just 10 people just listen. Obviously, they might want to share their opinion on the artifact. They just press the record and they could do this thing. this is how I do this thing. But initial push up will happen very less, or initial push will happen like a very small, or like a, if I'm gonna say that ki it will took me almost like a year to get 100 user to record artifact, or maybe 1000 user to get, probably it will gonna take time. When the 1000 user are convinced enough to record artifact, then 2000 takes even less than time, then 2000 to 4000 takes even less, then it's became exponential and things like that. The one thing I realized that ki you cannot convince people, obviously not. Let them kind of like a something, let them come from inside, let them kind of like a feel that ki okay, I should supposed to record artifact, okay, I should supposed to invest money, okay, I should supposed to read a book. That admiration came from inside, not from outside. If it came from outside, it repel, people repel and things like that. So if I try to expose too much, record artifact, record book, read the book, invest money, things and that, people don't do this thing. So I have to be tell them very less, like invest money. If they're not okay, sure, fine, that's it. Okay, yeah, because I think that na ki I cannot change people life. I cannot change other people. I can't. This is the kind of like a things that I understand, that I can't change people life. I could guide them probably, but I might not. So yeah, whatever, I have to kind of like ask the question. Like basically I kind of like decide that I should suppose to ask the question to myself, but probably I'm kind of like talking about the books and things like that. By the way, this book is really good. I don't know how much it had a value. Like basically I legitimately say this thing that ki like why I'm not reading this book so early in my life. Why the fuck I'm not? This is it. Thank you.